What if the most important meeting happening in Washington right now has almost no one talking about it? And what if the one name on that committee just sent a clear signal to the entire XRP community? On February 12th, 2026, the CFTC quietly announced the creation of a brand new committee, the Innovation Advisory Committee. This is not just another government panel. This committee will directly advise the CFTC on how to regulate crypto, digital assets, and blockchain innovation for the next several years. And sitting on that committee is one very familiar name, Brad Garlinghouse, the CEO of Ripple. Let that sink in for a second. The head of the company that fought the SEC for years, and one is now sitting at the table with the very agency that regulates the future of digital assets in America. This is not a coincidence. This is not a small appointment. This is one of the clearest signs yet that the regulatory winds are shifting in favor of XRP. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly who else is on this committee, what their real mission is, and why Brad Garlinghouse's seat at this table could be one of the most important developments for XRP in 2026. Because when the CEO of Ripple is handpicked to advise the CFTC on crypto innovation, the game is changing. And most people still have no idea it's happening. And now, let's look at the actual list. Right here on screen, the full roster of the CFTC's brand new Innovation Advisory Committee, announced February 12th, 2026. Take a good look at these names. You've got heavy hitters from traditional finance, blockchain pioneers, legal experts, academics, and right in the middle, Brad Garlinghouse. Yes, the CEO of Ripple, handpicked by the CFTC to help shape the future of digital asset regulation in the United States. Let that land for a second. The same man who led Ripple through the longest, most expensive SEC lawsuit in crypto history. The same man who stared down the regulator and won is now sitting at the table advising the sister agency on how crypto should be regulated going forward. This is not symbolic. This is structural. Brad Garlinghouse is not there as a random guest. He is there because the CFTC sees Ripple, and by extension XRP, as a serious player in the next phase of regulated digital finance. But he is not alone on this list. Look at some of the other names. You've got representatives from Chainalysis, the blockchain forensics firm that works closely with regulators. You've got executives from Consensus, one of the biggest Ethereum ecosystem builders, legal scholars from Stanford and Georgetown Law, former CFTC staff turned industry leaders, and senior voices from the stablecoin and DeFi space. This is not a room full of crypto enthusiasts. This is a room full of people who actually influence policy. And in that room, Ripple's CEO is not just present. He is one of the 12 chosen voices. So why does that matter for XRP holders? Because the Innovation Advisory Committee's job is to recommend how the CFTC should classify digital assets, how to balance innovation with investor protection, how to handle tokenized real-world assets, stablecoins, and cross-border payments. These are exactly the areas where XRP and the XRP ledger already have real-world traction. RippleNet already connects over 300 financial institutions. On-demand liquidity uses XRP for real-time settlement. RLUSD is live and growing. The ledger supports tokenized assets through recent amendments. When the CFTC asks, how should we regulate payments and tokenized value transfer? Brad Garlinghouse is in the room answering that question. That is not speculation. That is positioning. And positioning at this level rarely happens by accident. In the next part, we will look at what this committee is actually tasked with doing, and why 2026 could be the year XRP moves from tolerated to embraced. Now that we have seen the full committee list, and Brad Garlinghouse's name standing out so clearly, let's talk about what this actually means for XRP holders. First, the CFTC's Innovation Advisory Committee is not just advisory in name. It is tasked with giving direct input on how the CFTC should classify digital assets, how to balance innovation with investor protection, how to handle tokenized real-world assets, stablecoins, and cross-border payments. These are exactly the areas where XRP and the XRP ledger already have real traction. RippleNet connects over 300 financial institutions worldwide. On-demand liquidity uses XRP for real-time settlement. RLUSD is live and growing fast. The ledger supports tokenized assets through recent amendments. When the CFTC asks, how should we regulate payments and tokenized value transfer? Brad Garlinghouse is in the room answering that question. This is not speculation. This is positioning. Having the CEO of Ripple on this committee gives XRP a direct voice in shaping U.S. crypto policy for the next several years. That means clearer rules for commodity status, fewer gray areas, and a faster path for institutional adoption. Second, this appointment sends a powerful signal to the market. The CFTC did not pick a random crypto CEO. They picked the leader of the company that just won one of the longest SEC battles in history. They picked someone who has spent years navigating regulatory pressure and still built a global payments network. That tells you the CFTC sees Ripple and XRP as a legitimate, battle-tested player in the future of regulated finance. Third, it aligns with the broader shift we are seeing in 2026. The Clarity Act is advancing. Stablecoin frameworks are being debated. Tokenized real-world assets are projected to hit $30 trillion by 2030. All of these areas benefit from having Ripple's perspective in the room. Brad Garlinghouse is not just a witness to this shift. He is helping define it. So yes, this committee matters. And yes, his seat on it matters even more. So what does all of this mean for XRP holders right now? It means 2026 is shaping up to be the year the regulatory story flips from risk to opportunity. With Brad Garlinghouse advising the CFTC, the path to clear commodity classification gets shorter. The path to institutional confidence gets stronger. The path to real adoption gets real. Most retail holders are still watching price candles and daily volume. But the real story is happening in these quiet committees, in these regulatory appointments, in these behind-the-scenes alignments. The CFTC did not have to pick Ripple's CEO. They chose to. That choice is not neutral. It is a signal. And when the agency that oversees commodities and derivatives starts listening to Ripple on digital asset policy, it is hard to argue that XRP is still on the outside looking in. The slow grind we have been in for years, the frustration, the waiting, may finally be giving way to something much bigger. 2026 is not just another year. It is the year the rules start getting written with XRP in mind. If this update changed how you see the regulatory game for XRP, smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We are tracking every move as the rails come online. Thanks for watching. Stay curious, stay holding. We explore the rails that lead to the future. See you in the next episode.